Welcome to Messy Business, the podcast that helps solo business owners think better, not just know more. I'm Libby Langley, and each week I uncover the messy truth behind the internet's favourite business advice, assumptions and aspirations, helping you decide what's actually right for you and your business. Let's get started with this week's episode. Hello. Today we're going to talk about the messy truth about being fully booked as a solo business owner. Because fully booked is the dream, right? You will have heard on previous episodes me talking about busyness. How's business? You busy? So let's look at being fully booked. It's one of the most common business aspirations out there. And I believe that we need to talk more about this. Okay, so welcome to Messy Business. I'm Libby Langley. Common business aspirations. I want to be fully booked. My goal is to fill my diary. I'd love to have a waiting list. If only I had more clients, right? Fully booked, fully booked. In many industries, being fully booked is seen as the ultimate sign that you've made it. And so therefore, the underlying belief is fully booked equals successful. Truth or no? Truth or lies? Let's look at that in today's episode. Now, where did being fully booked as the ultimate goal come from? Well, historically, being fully booked genuinely was a useful measure of success. You know, if you think about things like hairdressers, tradespeople, therapists, accountants, consultants, businesses that sell time, then if every appointment, particularly if you've got like premises that are open, okay? So if you've got, I don't know about accountants and consultants actually. Consultants maybe, accountants, I don't know why I included that one. But hairdressers, tradespeople, therapists, somebody who operates from a premises that if there's not a customer in there is a direct cost. So you think about that. So service providers. So if, these businesses basically sell time. So if every appointment slot is filled, demand exceeds supply. Oh, and tradespeople, they don't have premises, obviously, but, they deliver the thing and you pay them. Plumber comes round. It's not the start of one of those stories. The plumber comes round, does the plumbing thing, and you pay them for their service for their time, right? Oh, it doesn't make it sound any better, does it? But that's good news for people like that, right? But the thing is, what's gone wrong in this thinking is that online business inherited the same thinking. That would be a better noise. It's not good. So when you add social media into the mix as well, and fully booked becomes more than a business metric, it becomes a status symbol. Status symbol. It becomes a signal. And it's basically a shorthand way of saying people want what I sell. But, when you're not trading time for hours, when that's not your business, when you're not a plumber doing the plumbing, then it's quite a dangerous avenue to go down, really, I would say. It's kind of linked to our wider culture's obsession with busyness. And as you will have heard me say before, busy often gets mistaken for successful. It's not a measure of anything other than the fact you know how to fill your time. And those things ain't necessarily productive, my friend, as we all know. Packed calendars, they get mistaken for thriving businesses. But somewhere along the way, very few people stopped to ask whether being fully booked was actually the goal. And somebody said to me, the busyness thing. But someone said to me at a networking meeting recently, how's business going? You busy? Is it busy? And I'm like, I have an issue with, it's like, Libby, just answer the question. Yes, yes, thank you. Is a good, but anyway, I can't do that because I'm autistic. I have a real problem with the word busy. And I said, actually, I'm as busy as I want to be. And it's a bit of a confusing and unnecessarily confronting answer, but it's someone that I knew very well and it was fine, and we had an interesting conversation about it. But it's just like, why do you want to be busy? I don't want to be busy. I didn't start my business to be busy. I started my business to do something that I love and get paid a decent wage for it, a decent income for it. That's what matters to me, right? I don't care if I do that in 4 hours a week, quite frankly. If it matches the requirements and circumstances and goals and objectives that I've set for myself. So yeah, I'm as busy as I want to be is fine. So being fully booked isn't necessarily the goal. However, the appeal is obvious, right? Because being fully booked, it sounds secure, it sounds profitable, it sounds validating, and it sounds impressive. It feels like proof that you're doing something right. It feels like proof that people want your services. It feels like proof that your business is working. It feels like proof that you're wanted. And let's not underestimate how big a draw that is for solo business owners or small business owners. Because honestly, I don't think there's anything more challenging or more confidence sucking than working for yourself. Because the opportunity for rejection and compromise and all this is almost limitless. And so being fully booked is an antidote to that. And we could all be fully booked from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. every single day, simply by offering something that's like £10 an hour. It's not hard, is it? Being fully booked itself is not the measure at all, because the measure is whether you're making the money that you want to make for the things that you want to do. And that's the difference, okay? But being fully booked isn't a measure of that. Being fully booked doesn't allow for consideration of that. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm so busy. Who cares, really? I mean, okay, so you got no time to do anything? So why did you start your business? Because did you not start it for freedom? Where's the freedom in being fully booked all the time? Nope, me neither, don't see it. So I think that for many solo business owners, and especially in the early years, right? So the early years are maybe a different case in point here. Being fully booked, it feels like the point where you can relax, because you've got money coming in, because you are getting the validation, because people do want you, right? So I'm not diminishing that fact. And I know certainly I put insane hours in for the first 5 years I worked for myself. Insane. I quite regularly did 14-hour days and stuff at weekends, and all that, evenings, and I never switched off from it. It was all really exciting as well. But that's different to when you've got a bit more experience and you know a bit more and you know what you want. But one of my aims with the work that I do, and also with this podcast and with my book, Life in Business, get it on Amazon, with everything that I do, is to make sure that you're able to make these decisions before you're 5 years in, right? I don't know, just to think about your business differently, because I just made it up as I went along and learned a lot along the way, which is why I can talk with confidence on quite a lot of topics. But it doesn't have to be like that, right? What I want you to understand really is that the appeal of being fully booked isn't necessarily the same as the reality of being fully booked. So being fully booked feels like the point where you can relax, because it feels like you've made it. It's also really easy to measure. A full diary is a tangible thing. Yes, it's much easier to actually tangibly measure than fulfillment or sustainability or enjoyment or freedom. So people naturally gravitate towards it. And that's why people say, you're busy. Yeah, great. Yeah, but I haven't made any money for the last 2 years because I'm not charging enough. and I'm overworked and all that. I mean, nobody ever says that, do they? They just go, yeah, everything's great. So the messy truth about being fully booked as a solo business owner, I think really is that a full diary and a healthy business are not the same thing. Write that down, right? And commit it to your memory. Because being fully booked can sometimes mean that you've underpriced yourself. Yes, let's all run sessions for £10. We'll have lots of people coming to us. Won't make any money. It's not even minimum wage. And nobody dictates minimum wage to you when you're self-employed, when you work for yourself, right? Remember that. There are laws when you're employed. Doesn't matter what you're doing. Doesn't matter if you're, I don't know, stacking shelves or something. That doesn't necessarily require you to have any specific qualifications, but you're in business, you've probably got qualifications to do what you're going to do, yeah? I'm sure you would like to work more than minimum wage. And yet, are you actually, when you add up all the hours that you put in and what you take home at the end of the month? So you've probably underpriced yourself. Which could be one of the reasons that you're fully booked. You might be utterly brilliant, right? You might be utterly brilliant. And I'm not saying that you're not, but you might still have underpriced yourself for your brilliance. You might be taking on too many things. So your diary is getting insanely booked up with this and that and the other and all these things. And you might find that you've got no room to think. You've got no room to think about your business and the direction that you want it to go in. You've got no room to just do the other stuff. You've got no room to go to the post office during the day. I mean, imagine no room to put the washing out on the line. What a travesty. And also, though, you've got no room left to improve things and to think like the CEO of your business, to take the time to just think, is this what I want? How can I change it? What do I need? What's my plan for the rest of the year? You're just doing the grind and doing the do. And it's the other stuff that actually a good business maketh, right? And being fully booked, it also, you might have created a business that relies on you being constantly available. And none of these things, underpricing yourself and taking on too much, but they're not necessarily terrible things, right? And there is nothing wrong with trading hours for money. I would say very much that is my business model these days. That's, it's kind of, I work on the consultancy model now. So I have clients who I do business sort outs for, and I do consultancy with clients, and I do a bit of teaching and various bits and bobs. And it does they all rely on me showing up and doing the thing. I don't price myself per hour, like £10 an hour. I don't even know why I'm using that as an example, because none of us would do that. But because there is always prep time, there is marketing time. There is the fact that I've got all these, 30 years work experience, 15 years running my business, MBA, 7,500 clients under my belt. All of those things need to come into the pricing, right? So when you're doing consultancy or time for money, there's a lot of factors to consider in that too. And so you don't necessarily have to have a scalable business in the sort of the traditional sense of that, really. And I'm going to do an episode next week about scaling your business, the messy truth about scaling your business. So hang around for next week's episode on that. But it does all become a bit of a trap, right? It can become a bit of a trap. I think that many of us, we spend years trying to become fully booked. And then we immediately start trying to escape it. And that's absolutely what I did in my business to start with. And by adding staff and offices and this and that and the other, we were really busy. We were very successful. Our turnover was great. Profit was awful. And I was really, really stressed, and I was working far too many hours. And that's why I had to take the really drastic approach of making my staff redundant. It was horrible time, but I was burnt out and it wasn't what I wanted to do. And that was my experience of being fully booked. And I've never done that since. So that's 11 years ago, actually. I've never done it since. And now I really love my business model now. I really love the work that I do. I do really love the autonomy that I have. And I do really love the time for hours. Time for hours? Time for money model, because to me, it's cut out a lot of the back end work that was taking a lot of time. So when you have a scalable business, which I've done many, many times in my business life, then there's a lot of back end stuff. There's a lot of admin. There's a lot of this, and that's all time, right? So you've got to factor that into stuff. But now my business model is probably the simplest. It's the same as it was on day one, I think, really, which is just glorious. It's had periods of being this simple over the years. And sure, it relies on me. And sure, if I'm ill and have to cancel, I don't get paid for it. But it also gives me the most freedom because I can put things in when I want them and keep days free when I don't want to. And that's a really, really nice balance for me. And that's important for me. So I feel like I have now, the kind of reality that I've wanted. Because, you might think if you've got a packed diary, then you might be thinking, yeah, do you know what? I've got less flexibility. I've got less creativity. I've got less strategic thinking space. And I've got less breathing room. And that does, in some cases, equal less profit. I think it's really fair to say, I don't think it is really fair to say, that a business with 3 ideal clients at the right price might be healthier than one with 20 clients and no spare capacity. Just think about that. If you've got 3 clients paying you a really fair price, a decent price, a good price, then would you rather have that, or would you rather have 20 clients paying you less and no spare capacity? I tell you, which one I would rather have. And this isn't just as simple as putting your prices up. It's about thinking about your business as an entire ecosystem and how long things take and how much energy and effort that they take from you and factoring them in, right? Being fully booked, it isn't automatically good or bad because it depends on your business model entirely. It is just one metric to look at, okay? In isolation, you'd think, how's business? You busy? Yeah, great, was enough. But there are so many nuances to that, so many caveats, so many things to think about that's what you need to think about. The problem from the messy truth, the problem from being fully booked as a solo business owner is that it's just one metric. That's where the problem comes from. When it becomes the thing that you're chasing without stopping to ask why, you're in trouble, really. You are. It's not a cool place to be just because that's where you've found yourself. It's not something that you should just automatically strive for because that's what people tell you should automatically strive for, right? What's more important to you is to think about what you're actually trying to achieve. What do you actually want in your business? So that's what I'm going to turn back to you for you to answer. Instead of just saying, I want to be fully booked, I want more clients, it's like, what are you actually trying to achieve here, my friend? What is it that you want? Do you want more income? I mean, probably, okay? But do you want more income? And are you able to achieve that with being fully booked? Yes, by putting up the prices. But are you able to put up the prices? Or is the client base that you've curated for yourself going to be up in arms and cause a right old hoo-ha? What does that kind of mean for you? Do you actually want more security? And I'm just going to put this out there. If you're fully booked and you're not earning what you want to be, and you have to make all the other decisions in the business, and you have to manage the clients, the marketing, the accounts, the blah, 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 would you actually, oh my God, would you actually be better having a job doing the thing that you're doing, where someone else deals with the marketing, bringing the clients in, paying you a wage at the end of every month? That's a really, really serious question to ask yourself. And I've had clients before who have gone back to jobs. There's no shame in it whatsoever. But you might be better off mentally as well as financially doing that, okay? And you get paid annual leave as well. So it might be a no-brainer that. But that might be more security for you. If you just love doing the thing, get someone else to pay you to do the thing. Is it that the question to ask yourself, what are you actually trying to achieve? Is it more confidence? Do you want to be more confident in your business? If so, there's support you can get for that. That's the kind of stuff that I support my clients with, part of the stuff that I support my clients with. Is it confidence to make better decisions? If so, absolutely, you're in the right place listening to this podcast, because that's literally what I'm helping you with. Or is it more proof that you're good at what you do? What's your reason for wanting to be fully booked? And maybe think about those things instead, because there might be better ways of getting those things. Whatever the actual reason is, there might be a better way. So I think a better question to ask yourself is, what does your ideal business actually look like? If you close your eyes and think about the business that you want, think about the business of your dreams, what does it actually look like? I mean, okay, forget about the bit that involves you just sitting, in a bathrobe by an infinity pool drinking cocktails and getting paid for it, because, okay, that's influencer territory or just a pipe dream, right? That's not the real world for 99.99999% of the world. So that's not your ideal business. What does your actual ideal business look like? Maybe it includes a waiting list, right? So maybe you don't fully book. Maybe you say, can't take you on as a client at the moment, but you're first in line, yeah? And then gradually you can start to put your prices up to incorporate that. You'll naturally whittle out some clients because they won't pay more. Maybe your ideal business has spare capacity. Maybe you have breathing space. I have Fridays as utterly precious days, right? Talked about this a lot over the years. Mondays I do sometimes do meetings depending on which client they're for and what they are. But I try and keep Mondays as kind of my own stuff. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah, go for it. All the things. I'll do all the things Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday's absolutely precious. I'll occasionally do a networking meeting on a Friday if I really, really like it. But I don't have client calls. And generally, I don't really do any work because I like to plan my food for the rest of the week and go to Sainsbury's. That's what I like to do on a Friday, and just have headspace before the weekend, because the weekend we're always doing stuff because we bought a renovation. So the house there's always stuff in the house, there's always stuff in the garden, and that takes headspace, time, energy, and effort, right, as well. So I need Fridays as like my buffer day. And that's how I plan it. And that's really, really important to me. That's what spare capacity means to me. That's what a 4-day week means to me. And it's really important. So those are part of my ideal business. So maybe yours includes a handful of really absolutely banging clients, right? Maybe that's what it includes. Maybe it doesn't include 40, 50 different people a week. You get to choose. Maybe your ideal business, ideal work includes time to think, time to just be, time to write, time to record, time to create. Maybe it includes that too, because you enjoy doing that. The goal isn't necessarily to be fully booked. The goal absolutely is to build a business that works for you. And those aren't necessarily the same thing. Okay. So today I've looked at the messy truth about being fully booked as a solo business owner. And I want to reassure you that whatever this has brought up for you, whatever it's made you think, you can change whatever you want in your business. And if you know categorically, having listened to this and having thought about it all, mulled stuff over as you've been listening, if you think, I do want to be fully booked and I'm cool with that, great. but it needs to always be a conscious choice. And you need to be aware of what you're trading by doing that, okay? What you're swapping. So think about what you're doing in your business. Think about what needs to change. And I wish you Godspeed with it. I absolutely do. And if you need my help if you want to go from fully booked to utterly fabulous, then if that's what something looks like for you, then that's something I can help you with in a business sort out. So let me know. Send me a message. Okay, good. Well done. Lots of food for thought again today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Messy Business Podcast, where we're going to talk about the messy truth about scaling your small business. I'll see you then. All right, ta-ra, bye. If this episode of Messy Business made you think differently, why not share it with someone who might need to hear it too? And if you're enjoying the show, make sure you're following wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss future episodes. Until next time, remember, change how you work, not who you are.